Hi, everybody. It is Craig Shoemaker. It's Enlightened Up. That's the name of the show, and that's our motto: Enlighten Up. Have some light in your life, some happiness, some joy. Let's go there. Let's go there together. That's what we do on our show. We can go deep. Sometimes I'd love to go deep today, especially with this guest. Last second guest, which I'm so happy. I'd like to do like that. Don't you like to do things in life like that, spontaneous? And this will probably be the best guest of the year. I'm sorry if the other guests, if they're listening right now,
Correct.
I'm sorry. I'm just predicting it right. I just want to put that on her. She's going to be the best guest. I think it's her only podcast she's ever done, and yet she's going to be the best guest ever. But it's so unique, this guest, and even how it all transpired. I was doing a show. I wasn't even on the show, really, a few weeks ago with Sherry Shepard and Caroline Ray, the show that I book, and Kim Whitley. And I've known this young lady's parents for a very long time. And she comes up after, it's just this bright light. I love bright lights. She's got this bright light, and she comes up, which, again, that's what the show is about. So it turns out I was already following her on Instagram, which is kind of creepy because you're
I'm
very
flattered.
young. I don't know why. I was already following you. Mayan Lopez is our guest here. And
everybody.
you're so, when you came up to me after the show with this cheery vibe, you have a wonderful light about you. I'm thinking, it's got to be Mario Lopez. There's no way it could be George Lopez.
You know, people would say, like, oh, you look just like your dad. And for a while, if people don't know about me, I'm Mayan Lopez. I'm George Lopez's daughter, the comedian. And, you know, I used to take it as an insult when people would say I would look like just like my dad. I'd be like, what, you don't think I look like Jennifer Lopez? You don't think I look like Mario? You just automatically assume I'm related to George Lopez? What does that say about me? You know, but...
Now you're going with it.
Now I'm going with it.
That's right. I mean, I can't wait to have to get into this because I want to know the perspective. I've had, you know, I have 4 children, and I'm a stand-up comic as long as your dad's been. We're both around the same age.
Absolutely.
And been at it a long time. We both come from difficult beginnings, and we both had children. And what we do with those children, we've had no training.
Right.
Now, you know, that's a big part of him raising you is no training, no map.
No map.
I wrote
no
one
real
person.
father figure.
Exactly.
For him as well.
Exactly. Mine left when I was born. I was like, something I said, wham, he's gone.
Yeah.
So this is what we're left with. So we're kind of, it's trial by error. I mean, it's like you better hope you got a good wife, which you have a great mom.
I do.
It's really tough because we're going, what do you do? Now, the way I did it was I gave them things that I longed for as a child, which are really easy to access. Like I know that I would have wanted a hug. I know that I would have wanted attention. Is that how pretty much your father was,
you know,
raising you?
With my father growing up, my father loved me. He was always when we were together, he was always very attentive. I think with him per se, and I can say this because everything I've said to him out loud and many times, but, you know, he wasn't always the most nurturing of father figures.
Mm-hmm.
He was always very supportive, like he had his love, but through the day-to-day things, like I'll say, for example, we're having a show called Lopez versus Lopez, which is going to be on NBC.
That's amazing.
Next year.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And we were having a conversation with the executives at Universal, and they were trying to, you know, say some stories. And one story, which I actually had never heard, I was very surprised to hear it on the phone. Yes. That there was one time we were in one of our old houses, and I was about 5 years old, and my mother was asleep upstairs, and, you know, I was in my, like, Disney pajama nightgown, and I was in our playroom, and my dad was going in the morning to go play golf, and he looked at his golf clubs, and he looked at me, and he was like, should I play with her? Like, do I?
Yeah.
Or do I play golf? And he's like, she'll be fine. And he went and he left. And he went to go play golf.
He made the golf choice.
And he made the golf choice.
Yeah.
And, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, he goes to Lakeside, which I live in the neighborhood of Toluca Lake.
Not too far away.
You know, it's like 2 minutes. I was like, you know, you could drive 2 minutes to see me, you know, after you play a game. And he's like, well, it's 2 minutes out of my way.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
But a thing, you know, it's like those kind of being raised like a stand-up by a stand-up.
Maybe if he hit an errant shot near you, then he would see you as he was finding his ball.
You know, like my dad
because it was close to there.
Yes,
Toluca
exactly.
Lake,
you know, I could have like helped him look. You know,
I tried to get my kids to golf with me so I could have a 2-for-1.
See, I went golfing.
Did he try that with you?
He did. You know, I had my own set of clubs.
Yeah.
And I was very excited with finding out the big, this shows you I'm a golf. I was like, the big one. Like the driver.
Oh, the driver, the big one.
Like
that's
all the fun covers.
That's what I say to my caddy all the
appealing.
time. Like, give me the big one.
Give me the big one.
So,
but one time, we would.
Kids love the driver.
Yes.
They don't want to be putting. Yes.
No, I would. Take me mini golfing if we're just gonna putt.
So he would take you now
So
and
he
then.
would take me one time, and then one time we were up in Pebble Beach because we spent a lot of, our summers playing Pebble Beach. My dad's done a lot of the AT&T. It's one of the best golf courses in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we went once to Peter Hayes, which is maybe like a 7-8 hole mini course. And my dad, I was getting very frustrated with my dad, trying to show me the right position. And I got so frustrated. I was so angry. I was like, yo, you want me to see? You want to see what I can do? Okay. I hit it, and I got a hole in one.
You did not.
I did.
After you had done this proclamation, like, I'll show you.
Like, I'll show you.
That's the ultimate I'll show you.
It was.
Some of us don't get one. I have one in my entire golfing career.
My dad, I look at my dad, I didn't understand what happened. My dad just turned white, just white as a ghost, and I retired. I mean,
that's going out on top.
I got an eagle. How am I supposed to?
That's going out on top.
That? Yeah.
Wow,
I retired at
now. Was
age
it 10. A real hole in one, or did it bounce off?
Oh no,
it bounced off.
It went on the green
curb.
and it rolled.
Really?
Right in. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I've only had one. I bet he's only had one or a couple. Has he told you how many he's had?
I think he's had 2.
Has he had 2? That's amazing how many times we golf.
He's played golf for what? 40 years.
Oh yeah, and a lot too.
A lot.
So you kind of like, you don't have siblings.
I don't.
But your sibling was these clubs that he has in his bag.
Yes, absolutely.
You get a little jealous.
I do.
He's seeing that 7-iron again.
I do sometimes.
Yeah.
I've had, and it's very interesting to talk to you and like with your children, is I've actually had quite an aversion to stand-up comedy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say to
up.
golf. My kids have an aversion to golf. I can't stand it.
Both.
Because I really do want to bond with them. Don't you think that your dad probably wanted you to take up golf so you could actually golf together?
Yes, golf together.
You did you do the, I'm not doing that because...
We did the Laker games.
What's that?
We more did Laker games.
Oh, you did?
We did Dodger games. We used to, a great tradition that we had with COVID. We haven't been able to do it, but on New Year's Eve, we would go to the New Year's Eve or Christmas Day games. And, my dad's played the Staples Center many a time so we can get courtside. And that's kind of like was our grand tradition.
I've seen him courtside. I'm one row back.
Yes.
He's bigger than I am. So it's such a status thing when you go to the Laker games. Isn't it funny how that works? And you just watch the people up above you that they're looking at you.
Oh, I remember one game.
Jealousy, disdain, they got something going on where they're watching you take those courtside seats.
Oh, yeah. No, you definitely get some looks, and you just have to walk with confidence. I
can't believe it.
Smile and wave.
That we've never run across one another there, because actually I have there's pictures of your dad with D.L. Hughley and my son where I wasn't there.
Oh, yes.
And they were very nice to him. They were very...
My favorite picture is one time he was sitting courtside with Arsenio Hall, who's a great friend of his, and he actually spilled his drink onto the court.
Oh.
And I think it was one of, Kobe's last games. My dad went to almost every one of them, and they had to stop the game and make a whole deal to like get it off of the court. And I was just howling.
Yeah,
just also feeling for him.
Did you?
Yeah.
My kids would have howled. Anything embarrassing for me. Now, did you ever have the embarrassment thing, like, being the daughter of a comedian? Like, my kids would, because I put them on Instagram and there's jokes in my act about them. And
I wasn't really allowed to listen to my dad's stand-up until I was about 21 is the first time that I saw him live.
What?
Yeah. No,
wow. No wonder my ex-wife is so angry with me. I took the kids since they were like 6 years old.
The first time I understood, because immediately in his act, he started using his microphone as his penis, as his dick. And so I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, that could have been a little confusing for me as a young child.
I have one child who's he's younger, and he's very like brainy and kind of Zen-like. Yeah, they're all different. They're all completely different. And he actually saw me once, and I've offered many times since. He goes, "That's okay. He just doesn't. He doesn't want to see me talking about his birth. I talk about the birth and what it looked like, and it was a home birth and all that. He's like, nah.
No.
He takes a pass. He's mature. But the other two loved it. They loved being around it and the autographs afterwards and things like that. But they also did not want to be singled out as part of the bit.
Right.
Like I did bits about, well, the one wasn't happy. I did a bit about he was born with a very small penis. He's not happy about that.
I mean, we come out factory made. You know what I mean?
That's true. There's nothing you can do about it.
No, not about it.
So does he do, well, you wouldn't know until you were 21. Did he do bits about you?
That I'm aware of. I think just about life, more my mom.
Yeah.
And I think that's a way that he could get, if he had any problems in his marriage, that was an outlet.
Yeah, it sure is.
Sometimes my mom wouldn't be the happiest being part of the joke, but that comes with the territory of being,
it does. I'm like, hey, you married it. This is how I make my money.
You're open territory. You're a target. Back my dad and I just growing up, as a stand-up comedian, I like being the daughter of a stand-up comedian, or anyone in the industry in general. You develop you develop a thick skin.
A thick skin, yeah.
But I've also had to be very quick because, my dad would just be like, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Say something, and then I would almost impress him
Yeah.
with being as quick as he was.
Did you learn timing from him? I mean,
I think naturally have always had timing.
Athletes have timing, right? Mm-hmm. And then their kids, a lot of times the kids even play professional sports.
Yes.
There's a lot of families, you see them constantly in sports. So does that really happen with stand-ups as well?
I think so. My favorite story, which I think really encapsulates me as a kid, is, I've had to develop a filter. When I was younger, I would say the first thing that came out of my mouth, and then people would laugh. It was just something that happened naturally. And one time I was on the playground, and there was this kid who would always develop drama, and I just shut him down. And people were laughing, all the kids were laughing, but I got in trouble with the headmaster at our school. A headmaster. I went to a private school, so we had a headmaster.
You definitely grew up different than me and your dad.
Differently.
We had no headmasters.
Absolutely. And so I remember my mom picked me up from school, and she was like, Mayan, like, how was your day today? I was like, good. Everything's fine. And she's like, oh, really? Because I got a call from Mr. Jacobson and saying that you said some particular things on the playground. And I was like, they were mean, Mayan. And I was like, mean, but funny. And
did your dad do the atta girl?
Yeah,
when you get home.
My dad does
your mom's doing the mom thing.
Yes, my mom will always be like, George.
What'd you say? That's great. That's good stuff. Can
dad,
I use that in my act?
Oh, yeah. No, my dad would fully pimp me out for jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing that, with our decision on that is it's a tough one because you want to talk about your real life. You can't disguise it.
No.
Otherwise, you're doing someone else's jokes, someone else's material. It's not real. It's not organic to you. You have to talk about your life. But I had an ex-wife who I'd go to court. And
really?
they would, oh, yeah. Like
for defamation?
I took a photo of my son. He was like, he was doing a weird dance or something, but he was in his underwear. So,
okay.
Oh, so you gave me the look of the judge. You gave me the same look the judge gave me.
No, I was like, I mean, it's not like it's child porn. So
I know, and it wasn't, and it was obviously funny, and it was a dance he was doing or whatever. But of course, she would always make big deals out of everything.
Right.
She used anything against me. So there was a lot of times, and I would be really admonished by the judges because they didn't understand that this is part of what we do.
Yes. And it's a big problem nowadays with cancel culture and everything. I've asked my dad, like, do you write, like, thinking or trying to prevent being canceled? And he said yes.
He does?
He does.
He really got in big trouble with Trump, too.
Oh, big time.
I mean, that was like spy shit going on there. They were
this is another example of what will be a child of a comedian story. So my dad, he got visited by the Secret Service, by Trump's Secret Service, because they said that some of his jokes, this is the joke, I think it's hilarious. His Netflix special was called We'll Do It for Half. And, the premise of the joke was that, why hasn't anyone assassinated Trump, or tried to? And whatever price it is that Latinos or people of, who are diverse, we'll do it for half.
Yeah.
We'll do it for half price.
Right.
Great, solid joke. Mwah, chef's kiss, love it. But they took that as a actual credible threat against the president's life. And so they went over to his house and they were like, Mr. Lopez, do you think this is funny? And my dad's like, not anymore. Like, not anymore. But there was...
Did he have to do the apology thing?
I think just like through Twitter, that was the best way to get in touch with Trump anyway, you know? Not anymore. But though there was actually a man that lived in Florida that was sending pipe bombs in the mail to people who were against Trump.
I remember that.
Who were outwardly, so it was like, you know, CNN correspondents, comedians.
Yeah.
And my dad was on the list. And so FBI came to his house, was telling him, do not leave your house. We're going to check all your mail. You know, it was a very serious thing. And when my dad told me, my question was, how high were you on the list? And my dad was like, you're my daughter. I asked the same question. It's like, how high were you? Were you like an immediate threat, or could you have waited a couple of weeks? Like, you know, how high were you?
How he ranks.
Yeah, how he ranked.
Yeah, you're no Dave Chappelle.
No, exactly.
Oh, that's good. I remember Kathy Griffin also had.
Yes.
She also had, because she did some things.
The bloody head.
Yes, exactly. Well, obviously, people don't have a sense of humor when it comes to people they deify. Right. And I feel this way about left, right, in between. It's like, you just don't deify anyone.
No.
It's ridiculous. You should be able to make fun of everyone, including ourselves.
Target, and no one is, you know, impenetrable to a joke.
Yeah. How much do you make fun of yourself?
Oh, all the time.
That's your thing, isn't it?
I used to be self-deprecating. I think I've tried to have, you know, I think people use self-deprecation, as we're doing enlightenment, if we're on this podcast.
Yes.
I feel like people use self-deprecation as a way of self-harm sometimes if you're trying to hurt yourself. And I think after a while, I think people use self-deprecation as a way to try to, you know, be in on the joke when you're approaching situations.
Let me take that in. I'm not going to just leave that.
You know, I've gotten better at, I can be in on the joke, but I don't make jokes about myself, per se. I can make jokes about my behavior, but when it comes to my looks or who I am as a person, I try to stay away from that, because I think we should all try to nourish our self-image.
This is an interesting concept. Let's go deeper. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of myself, if it's really, I enjoy making fun of myself.
Yes.
I really do. And now
I'm thinking light.
I'm thinking about like physically, like make fun of my walk. That's for sure. I make fun. Yeah, I make fun of like. But you also. But it is about the behavior, though. When you think about it, the behavior is why I have the dad bod that I make fun of.
But I also feel like when you make self-deprecation humor, you get in on the joke before anyone else can.
Oh, but that's the whole secret.
You put it out there.
You hurt yourself before they hurt you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
my friends have always said that about me. They go, you leave us nothing.
Right.
I pick myself apart. There's nothing even on the carcass anymore for them to get.
And so when you approach new social situations, you already have made light of any of those things. It's almost like an armor.
Yeah. You did make a good point, though. It is more about making fun of behaviors than it is. That's something you can't help your height.
No.
Yeah, that's one. And then body-wise, yeah, you can a little bit. You know, like I can definitely do something about the belly. You know, the dad belly, which I'm not crazy about. But if I really felt that strongly about it, I would do something about it. But the behaviors is something. It's almost like people do deserve that, and they should be able to take it because it's their behaviors, and they might be offensive behaviors. Or something that we can make fun of.
I think we just ask, when you're making self-deprecation humor, what is your intention? Is it intending to hurt? Is it intending to make fun and make laughter? Like that's.
Well, sometimes it's even the playing field. That is for me. It's like, a lot of people think that if you're a celebrity, if you're a comedian, you're on a stage, you're above. And I want to say, no, I'm one of you.
Right.
And here, this brings me to you.
Definitely a tactic.
Yeah. I've been using it my whole life. I mean, I was really beaten up when I was a kid, bullied. I was very tiny, no dad, moved a lot, and all those things. Serial pedophile kidnapped me.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of like dark stuff.
Yes.
There was no way that I was going to fight my way out of this, and I tried that, with physically fighting. But a female, you usually don't have that option. Did you ever get in fights when you were a kid?
I never really necessarily got into fights. I I more was the person that stood up for the little guy. I was physically the tallest. I stopped growing in 5th grade, so I've been 5'5" for a very long time. You know, in yearbook photos, it's like ding, 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 bing. Like,
so they thought you were going to be like 7 feet. Like,
I thought I was. They were saying I was going to be 5'8". You know,
wow.
They said
and it just stopped.
And it just stopped in 5th grade, and then all the guys in the grade, it took them like a pride thing that they finally were able to outgrow me because I was taller.
I like you.
I was the oldest and the tallest.
You were the goal.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
April 2nd, 1996.
So April 2nd, you were the oldest.
I was one of the oldest.
That's weird. That's a weird dividing line.
Yeah.
Like I was the youngest. It was November. I don't know how.
And also just like in society, I really noticed it really hurt me for a while is that, you know, boys wouldn't really like me because not only was I the tallest, but I was like the oldest girl. And so they were oh, you should always be with the oldest boy.
And which meant college.
Yeah, right. You know, I was like,
you're 5th grade. You're looking at the college guys.
Like, yeah, I'll try to like talk with Caden. We're 2 months apart. You're born in December. You should be in the grade below.
I'm going to give you the inside poop on this.
Okay.
It's because we are immature, and we have to go with girls that don't know any better.
Right.
Every girl I would ask out was always a sophomore when I was a senior, because they're like, they don't know. They haven't talked about what an idiot I am yet. Now the seniors, they all knew. Don't go anywhere near them. I never asked one single girl my age. I would never ask out.
Yeah,
always younger.
In high school, there's always a dividing line between the upper and the lower classmen.
Yeah,
and like there's no set rules, but there are just always rules that are just I feel like universal all through.
You grew up out here, so it wasn't too big of a freak out for people that your dad's a celebrity.
No.
You probably had other celebrities in your class,
absolutely.
Right? Celebrity kids.
In my grade, in my high school graduating class, I went to school with Steven Spielberg's daughter.
No.
Antonio Banderas and Melanie Griffith's daughter.
Oh my God.
Randy Jackson's son. Blair Underwood's son. I almost said Paris, which is his son. But, so I was like TV money compared to, these titans. And they were all like great kids. Like, we could all relate to each other in one way or another. But, I also went to high school with actors like Elle Fanning and Ariel Winter So, I have a very unique life, which I found very hard to transition when I went to college, It
must have been strange for your dad, though, growing up. Like, I really kept my kids out of private school.
And see, even that is...
So it's much more like I was brought up. It's much more familiar to me. Like, I even have a disagreement with my wife about where to send our daughter. I want that normalcy that I had. But then again, do I really... do you want that or you want to, go a cut above because you can afford it now?
It depends on, I think in my experience, it's how much you give. I think, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was brought home. My mother bought a condo on Barham, and with the money that she got when her father passed away, she bought a condo. And
so your dad hadn't made it yet?
No, my dad hadn't made it yet. He was,
I'm doing
it was
the math
right before. I mean, my parents couldn't pay their bills on time. My mom would go out to the bank. My dad would stay in the car because he was so ashamed he couldn't go in and pay his bills late. And so my mom would go in. And so that was the situation.
So 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
Your dad was an up-and-coming comic.
Laugh Factory. And then a couple of years after I was born, he had a radio show.
Yes.
And, through
then
the
that led to the
show,
sitcom.
It led to the sitcom. And so my life, I've kind of grown up with my father's success. I guess if...
That was pretty fast. I mean, you were pretty young
I was about
when he
5
had the
years
sitcom.
old, yeah.
So you pretty much have... So you remember a few years of the...
Yes.
A little less than ever, living in a...
And, like my family, we my parents would give me nice things like as we've gotten older, but it meant a lot. It wasn't always they give me one really nice gift or a couple of nice gifts, and it was something that you appreciate. They really drilled that into me, and even people who meet me and they're like, "Oh, you're so down to earth. You're not what I expected you to be."
That's true. You are. Yeah.
And I was like, "No, I've always been completely appreciative of what I've had." And, worked with charities and my father's foundation, the George Lopez Foundation. And, I've always seen what lesser than.
Right. Quite frankly, though, it also has to do with,
my parenting. Parenting.
Both parents, right? I mean, people forget that when you have a celebrity child, it's like, oh, it's all about the celebrity. No, it's about your mom, too.
Oh, yeah. No, my mom,
she grew up with modest means, right?
Both her parents were doctors. Both my grandparents, they grew up in Cuba, and they left. They immigrated to the U.S. when Castro came into power. They were both medical students, and my aunt came home, and she was singing communist songs when she was about 3-4 years old.
Wow.
And so my grandparents were like, we got to get out of here. And so they wrote 200 handwritten letters to asking for an internship in any hospital that would accept them both in the U.S. And the first one was a little hospital in Cook County, Connecticut. And so they went to the Swiss embassy in Havana. They got their green cards, and they flew and started a new life. And then my grandmother was
Connecticut.
In Connecticut at first, and then they moved around and they settled in Florida. My grandmother was an anesthesiologist, and my grandfather worked in aviational medicine and was actually a doctor for NASA during Apollo 11. So he was Neil Armstrong's doctor.
Oh, wow!
Like during the Apollo 11 mission.
Oh, so she actually came from pretty established.
Pretty established, but self-made.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I grew
So
up.
they gave her those values.
With the immigrant mentality of you work.
Right.
You know.
Right. Well, I'm from the East Coast, and that's the way we are.
Absolutely.
Did you ever have a job? You never had a job, right?
I never really had a job until I went to
You didn't cut any
college.
lawns or anything like that?
No, because
That's what we did back east. We cut somebody's lawn or dig ditches or whatever the hell it took to make it big. But you never had to do that.
No, I mean, I would do like lemonade stands or,
You did?
Yeah, I did lemonade stands because I've always been very entrepreneurial.
Wow.
I have been.
Oh, I like that.
And
where'd you get that sense from?
I think
Your
both my
dad's-
parents.
yeah, I
Both
get-
my parents.
Yeah.
My dad, I've never seen anyone work harder
Right.
than him. And, just seeing that and seeing the amount of work that it takes to get to his place and that he still is working.
Oh, he's driven, yeah.
He's driven. And
I helped him with the meat, the meat business.
Yes.
That whole thing. We were on a golf course, and that's the way he was thinking. Where he was thinking, yeah, start my own meats. I'm thinking, yeah, man. I was like, be the new Jimmy Dean. I don't know if you ever heard of Jimmy Dean.
Oh, of
The
course.
sausages. I'm like, yeah, I have
yes.
George Lopez. So then I introduced him to these meat guys, and I talked to the meat guys, and they have the biggest meat company in the world, actually. And then they sent me the recipes, and they worked with it, and we all worked. I couldn't believe it. Then he came out, he's got his own meats now. Delicious, by the way.
Oh, they're wonderful. And beer.
Chingon.
Yeah, chingon.
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 What does that mean, by the way?
Chingon means like badass.
Ah,
like
yeah,
chingon, or like someone can be chingon. It's like badass.
You know what I realized when I invited you? I grew up with I don't speak any Spanish because we didn't grow up in that atmosphere. There was nobody. So when you chose a language, I chose
don't
French.
Speak Spanish.
You don't?
I don't. So
Isn't
which
half
I've
your
actually
dad's
gotten
acting
which I've
Spanish?
actually gotten a lot of crap for.
Yeah, you should get crap for that.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to add to the crap.
Ah, jeez. Yeah, no, they called me a no sabes.
No
kid,
sabes.
which means like I don't speak.
That's wow.
Which I'll take it.
How could you not know something though? You have to know.
I mean, I understand it. I understand about 65%.
You do.
But I can answer in English. I had a speech delay. Not trying to make excuses, but this is the facts. I had a speech delay when I was about 3 years old. I didn't speak, and I had trouble learning my R's, my THs, even just forming words and sentences. I had to go to
Specialist,
like a speech therapist for many years, and so I was having trouble even learning English. And it was very hard for my parents because that's how they wanted to teach me, and everyone in my family speaks it except me.
Wow.
And but they had to choose, and I took it in elementary school. I took it through high school. I even went on a trip to Costa Rica with my school.
You took? Oh, you did take Spanish.
I did.
That was your choice.
I did.
Okay.
And I was dreaming in Spanish. I can think in Spanish.
Really?
But it's just hard for me to still, to this day, articulate.
Yeah, but
inform.
You're still way. I mean,
I'm still young enough.
I
am going
moved
to,
here. I thought it was Sepulveda Boulevard.
Right.
I thought it was Tujunga, Cerritos for Cerritos.
Yeah.
I had no idea because I studied French
Right.
in high school, and it does me a lot of good. A lot of pockets of French neighborhoods out here. I'm like, "Où est la station? Hey man, Cinco de Madre."
Yeah.
What does that mean, by the way? Cinco de Madre. That's not good, is it?
No, it's like chingo. It's like shit on your mom or something.
Is that what-
Yeah.
But George is probably the first Mexican I ever knew. Isn't that weird?
Really?
I definitely grew up
I
in
guess
zero.
East Coast, yeah.
Yeah,
We're not really
people talk
prevalent
about
over
prejudice. Well, there is a prejudice because if you don't know something, there's a prejudice because you don't know.
there. Oh yeah, definitely in like your own community.
I mean,
as
I'm
well.
sure that if you're from another country, you have a prejudice towards, white people.
Oh yeah, and even
in America, right?
even in the Black community, whether you're the color of your skin, if you're lighter Black or if you're darker Black, or even in the Mexican community, it's like how far away from Mexico you are. So are you too Americanized? Are you too?
I can't
Mexican?
stand
Are you
really
still,
white
like,
people. The really white ones.
The really white
the
ones.
alabaster,
I remember,
the clear ones. I can't stand.
I remember I got in a fight with my ex-boyfriend. He was very Midwest, like white. He came from Wakanda, Illinois.
That's your boyfriend?
My ex-boyfriend.
Well, you really went for it.
Oh, I
didn't
did.
you?
I tell
That sounds
my
like
dad,
rebellious shit right there.
Oh, I tell my dad he's ruined Latin men for me. I can't do it. I can't do it. Talking about my other psychological issues that I have over here, but no, if I met the right one, then maybe, but I don't really have an attraction to Latin men because I think it's my dad.
You don't have an attraction.
No.
So you had this Midwest guy, and he's not your only one that was like white. Is that you? Northern?
Yeah.
What about Black? You go for any?
I would go for Black.
Have you dated Black guys?
I haven't. No.
Oh, you haven't yet? Mm-mm. Okay. Well, your dad travels with a number of. I think it's all Black guys.
Yeah,
right?
like D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, Eddie Griffin.
And do you
Charlie
go back?
Murphy,
Do you
rest
go
in
backstage
peace.
for all of that?
I did. Yeah, I did. I saw them in a couple of.
How about
tour
those
dates.
guys? They have kids.
Oh, they're great guys.
Did
yeah.
you hang out with those kids?
I've hung out with a couple of the kids, and it's so interesting talking about being a stand-up and being a child of a stand-up comedian. I actually met DL's daughter. Mm-hmm. She was a DJ, and she was like DJing before. We all like help each other out with favors. Like she was DJing before my dad's Netflix special. And she came up to me and she was, it's like, oh, very nice to meet you. Oh, look, our dads work together. Mm-hmm. And, but she came up to me and she said, you're so lucky your dad's famous enough to do things for you. And I was like, oh, I thought that it took me aback. I was a little ajar when
her dad's not?
I mean, that's what I was saying. And she was like, oh, but famous enough to do things for me.
Else.
And...
he had his own sitcom too.
He did.
I was on that show. I played a racist. That's all I can get these days.
It's very interesting. It's even when I went into college, people were like, "Oh, you're George Lopez's daughter. You're gonna make it no matter what." I went to Columbia College, Chicago. I studied comedy writing and performance.
Really? And you went? Oh, you went. See, that's the other thing. Growing up in Southern California, you had to go you wanted to go get some winter time.
Yeah,
didn't
I wanted
you?
to get away.
Yeah, my son did too. He went to Pennsylvania and loves it.
Yes.
Did you find the people that you liked them better?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, people were so nice.
But there's a quality of life there that's very different.
And
I'm starting not to like it here. By the way, how about you?
I think there's gonna be a max exit.
You should move your sitcom to Chicago.
I would love that. I have.
George would never have that though,
because
his Lakers aren't there.
Exactly.
But there's something about it. I'm so happy that I come from back there. Mm-hmm. There's just an integrity. I was just back. I'm still friends with my accountant is from kindergarten.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My best friend is from 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
This new show that I'm doing, I produce a show. It's on Amazon Prime. Third grade, a guy I copied off of because he was really smart.
Yeah, and you bring those people with you.
These are my friends for life.
Absolutely.
Out here in California, and show business is very transactional. It's like you need to know someone, so that's your friend.
And that's what.
And then it's temporary. They're not your friend for life because you don't need them anymore. It happens so often in this town. It's really sad.
But one thing is, at least in the industry and the way that I've seen it, is that. We all got that favor. People going up have gotten a favor from someone, and I think it's pass it along. So, if you see a young and upcoming person, young professional, and you see promise or you see something in them, you give that same grace that was given to you, and, you give them an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I get doors opened, but I still have to walk through those doors and sell myself and have the goods and have my training.
You have to have the goods. And it's good you went away to college and studied comedy writing, because there's nothing.
Going it away was very helpful for me.
Always benefit from comedy writing.
Absolutely.
I teach this too, is like, to get ahead in life, to make people laugh, it's to be honored, actually. It's something that's really, it's very, very unique to have that talent. And the fact that you have that, obviously it's a little bit innate, it's born in you, but you also developed it. You didn't just stop with that. I
have a saying that hard work trumps talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I keep that with me, because there are people who, may not be the most naturally gifted, but they work at it, and they work at it. And, they'll do better and book more auditions because they hone their skills, rather than the person that can go in there and be like, oh, I can, work on this and ad lib, and I know I'll do it.
Yeah.
Those people
they'll take me for my
get
looks,
it because, you want to be able to perform on the day and like how you're going to.
Have you ever done any acting? Were you in your dad's sitcom?
I was like a little guest. I had some like guest spots. I was a little.
Did he make you audition, that bastard?
No. And then I was.
I got my kids' parts and things. I get a kick out of it.
I had a small part in a movie on Netflix. Called Handsome. A murder mystery movie directed by Jeff Garlin.
Really?
And, yes.
Oh, so he just called you because he knew you.
The casting director was looking for young comedian, like
his wife
talent.
was a casting director, wasn't her?
Yes, Marla, yeah.
Oh, Marla's the one who cast you?
No, but the casting director, Allison Jones.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah.
And she cast The Office, Parks and Recreation.
I was on Parks and Recreation.
Yes, you were.
Yes, I was. I played the head of the Live or Die party.
You had the recall nope shirt.
Look at you. You remember that, huh?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Wow.
Icetown and all of that.
Yeah, yeah. I loved working on that show. That was fun. I wish I did more sitcoms, though. I really do. I hope that you do this. They're like Amy Poehler, it's a community. It's literally like a community, and it's a family. And I'm sure you're going to do that, the same sort of thing.
Absolutely. I definitely, with this opportunity that I have, going mainstream, and there's a lot of young creatives that I collaborate with through TikTok, and they through social media. It's such a huge part now, and I want to bring people up with me with this opportunity. And I see that as helping everyone out. Everyone wins. I feel like in life, as I've gotten older, people think that there has to be a winner or a loser, but really in life, both people can win. Everyone can win.
I agree with you. I've never been into the competition thing.
No.
I'm not, if somebody has a job that was meant to be their job. I used to, a long time ago, I did this whole bitter thing about, you would name someone, I'd tell you who they're related to.
Yes.
And then someone just stopped me once and said, what good is this doing you? And I literally stopped on a dime. I don't need to do that anymore. I make fun of the Baldwin brothers or whatever it was. I remember I lost a part to a Baldwin brother.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Zeppo. Anyway, so I was like, and I was so like bitter, so I like doubled down on it. That's what comedians do sometimes. We want to detach from our emotions. We really don't want to.
Well, depending which Baldwin, you can feel bad or not that bad. So,
it was one that I should feel bad.
Alex, Steven, and then the third one.
That was 5, I think.
There's 5 of them. Jeez.
I think so. Yeah, you're too young to remember
really
the one that used the one that had a bigger career than he's the one you don't know anymore.
Oh, there we go.
Billy Baldwin.
Oh yeah, Billy.
Oh, you do know who he is.
Yeah, now I do when you bring it up.
He was the handsome. He was the handsome one. But anyway, I would have this feeling like, oh, they have that because they have that opportunity. And quite frankly, even if you're not related to someone, if you're brought up in Los Angeles, you have a go. You're already ahead of the game because you can go to an audition after school. You go, like, I can't, if we grew up in Philadelphia, you can't like fly to L.A. and get back for your school.
That's partly why I left Los Angeles to go to college, because I was like, I could always go back there. People. Sure. Some people were from little small towns, and Chicago was a big city for them. Chicago was a big city, but it was just another city. For me, it wasn't anything.
A lot of great actors come out of there.
Yes, absolutely.
They have a big theater program.
Big theater program. The Goodman Theater, Steppenwolf,
and
all of them.
Jeremy Piven's parents, I think, had a theater there.
And then I studied at the Second City, which people aren't familiar. It's a very
not familiar.
Not familiar if you're not, but it's where it's a huge sketch comedy.
Dan
improv,
Aykroyd, John Candy,
Chris
Bill
Farley,
Murray, the Farleys,
the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler.
Oh my God.
Steve Carell, all of the greats, Key and Peele, all of them come out from.
I was so amazed when I went to Parks and Recreation, and I was Kirk Fox. I don't know if you know him. He's a comedian. He's on the show, and he ad-libbed the same scene 5 different ways. I'm going, what are you doing? He goes, that's the way they do it around here. I was word for word.
Yeah.
I didn't want to change the word, but that's the community that's built in these improv. Upright Citizens Brigade, and obviously Second City, the Groundlings, and this is the way they're raised, and everyone, you see them all in the same sitcoms.
Yes.
I have a friend, Tim Bagley. He's been in so many sitcoms.
Oh,
because
God, yeah, Tim. I know Tim very well.
You do?
Yeah.
It's my old neighbor.
Oh, really?
I love Tim.
Yeah, no, Tim's
but
Tim works.
No one listening to this
everywhere.
knows who he is.
Exactly.
But
If you look him up, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy. But
every
it's because
show,
they work so well with
improvisation.
And, some of the funniest scenes that you see on television are ones that were made up. They weren't even in the script.
Yeah.
And, once you as a fan, do more research into those things, you appreciate those shows even more, and you look at those scenes differently, and you're like, was that improv? Was that this? But it's commitment.
Yeah.
It's full surrender.
Surrender, that's a good word.
It's full commitment. And
it's a great word.
Surrender 100%.
Yeah, that's a great word. I'm using that in real life, is surrendering my ego. Mm-hmm. Because if your ego tries to please, your ego tries to manipulate and get them to love you and all that kind of stuff. When you drop that and you're pure and you're into your own energy flow, that's when things are really cranking. Quite frankly, standard comedians, stand-up comedians, aren't as good on these shows.
No.
Because we're so used to, we write it all, we direct our own thing.
It's an individual sport.
It's an individual. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's hard to go play, football when you've been playing, golf. They're 2 completely different sports. And we have the golf mentality of just we're like Tiger Woods. So we can be really great. But Tiger Woods probably couldn't be on a team.
I mean, it's just like at a golf club. At a club, you talk with your buddies before. But, when it's up to, your turn, you're up there by yourself. It's just you and the mic and the audience. And so, you can have camaraderie. There's camaraderie around comedians. But, it's individual.
So now you have this new sitcom.
I do.
Are you excited about this?
I am
through the roof?
I'm so wonderfully excited.
Yeah.
I call it beautifully overwhelming. All of it just...
It just happened, right?
It just did.
I saw the announcement.
Announcement. So what it's going to be, it's called Lopez versus Lopez.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a sitcom, family sitcom with my dad and I, really kind of focusing on really the father-daughter relationship, but even any relationship in general where, you weren't always as close.
When you guys weren't speaking, were there like a fight that led to that, or was it just like, I'm going right to silent treatment?
It was really when my parents got divorced it's about 10 years ago.
Did you side take with your mom?
I did, because I felt like, I've had to be put in the middle and getting chosen and it also felt very lonely being an only child, the only one really going through this.
And you're female.
But I also,
so you're gonna gravitate
with my
towards
father,
mom,
he was unfaithful to my mother for, a number of years, and with prostitutes. And it was, I'm not saying, you could look it up. It's like, it happens 10 years ago. I'm so happy it didn't happen now, because it would be a little bit different. It was before where everything was bad. We had, things fall out. But, I also felt hurt and betrayed.
Sure.
And
you're female too.
And I was female and as well. And, I had my own problems that kind of stemmed from that as well. But with him, it just like my life changed in a day. Like I was very sheltered growing up. I had really no idea what was going on. So one day just the rug got pulled out from under me.
So you weren't seeing fighting, and you weren't like over here and in the other room.
No.
You and your horrors or whatever it was.
No.
Oh, so this was all. Did you find these things out in the press?
Mm-hmm.
No.
No. Well, my mom.
Wow.
I remember. I'll never forget that day. I remember my mom. I came home from school and my mom was crying and talking, like all day upstairs, and I was like, okay. I felt
talking to herself or talking on the phone?
I think talking with friends, probably talking with lawyers. Like I don't know what it was.
Right.
And so I did my homework, you know, kind of made my own schedule. As an only child, you're used to doing those things. And then I remember coming back later and going, there was my therapist on one couch and my mom and my dad on another couch, and they called me in. And they said, you know, there's a article coming out in the National Enquirer.
They warned you.
They warned me.
Yeah.
And, you know, that we're getting a divorce. And even that news was very shocking.
Yeah. And that's how you heard it.
That's how I heard it. And then my dad, and then my
and then
mom
you double it up with the...
And then my mom, so it was a very unique situation because, you know, divorce is hard enough in a family, but having it be on such a public stage, it's traumatizing, really. Going to high school, I remember it was trending. Everyone knew about it. And, you know, when I went to high school one day, it was like in the movies where, you know, everyone's eyes are looking on you.
And as if 15's not a difficult time anyway.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult
for a girl,
age.
And
I remember going in and just everyone staring, talking about me. You know, there were other kids like who were divorced parents, even people I never even knew. They came up to me and offered me some words, which was very encouraging. And those were the light in those dark moments. But even I had a teacher come up to me asking me if it was true.
Really?
And actually, we got her fired.
Yeah, that's really inappropriate.
Because
good.
I mean, and I was just in shock. Not only because I was really, I don't remember a year and a half of my life.
Sure.
Like it's all black.
Did you get into drugs or anything like that?
Not at that time. No. More recently, I had a bit of a drug problem with marijuana and just.
You say more recently?
Yeah, more recently, a couple years ago.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it got pretty bad.
I thought you meant a couple weeks ago.
No, it got pretty bad.
Yeah. You mean pot got bad? Yeah, because you wanted to
I
medicate.
never did anything more. Yeah.
Wanted to medicate the feelings. Yeah, yeah. So did you stop?
I have.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, yeah. You don't want that.
No.
The one thing I did that was right in my life, if I've done anything, you know, right, is to stop that stuff. Because the self-medicating is just never going to, we've all seen where it leads. There is no end to that.
And, you know, with the relationship with my father, it's partly why we're making a show about it. And what's so interesting, we want to make it, you know, a bigger spectrum to parents who.
You're going to go deep with like addiction.
It's going to be, you know, it's going to be real but it's going to be funny. Not necessarily with addiction. We've had our own addictions. But, you know, just as you get older, you start to see your parents as people. And so you understand the human condition more as you live life more, you learn more. And so in the show, I play like a vet tech because I used to work in pet shops. So it's like pet stores. And I have a 5-year-old son. And, you know, my mother on the show, she's a real estate agent. She sold the family house, got me a little house. And so we lived there. And then my dad has a moving company. He gets hit hard by COVID, and he sees this as an opportunity. I think the pandemic really brought a lot of perspective to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And so he's like, you know, I want to be a good father or a better father, the father that she deserves. Like
which
for
is
my
real
daughter,
life.
which is like very, you know, life imitating art. And so, you know, he has a scheme and to try to get me to live in my house. And, you know, eventually that's going to be where the show starts, is that, you know, we're all navigating. I'm navigating family life. We're navigating our relationship.
And your cast of characters are people that basically are in your life right now, or you know, they're. I
mean, I'm not a mother. I have like a 5-year-old son, but I don't have any children. I've only had one boyfriend. It's like, you know, it's been
there's some stretches.
Yeah, with some stretches.
Right. Well, but there's always some organic, you know, truth to everything that you do. People don't understand about comedy. There's got to be.
Yeah.
Some bit of reality to it.
And I think
it's been experienced.
I think I always think of comedy as tragedy and time.
Right.
And there's been enough time, and we've worked through enough things that we can make light of it.
Did you go to therapy together?
Oh, we have at one point. Yeah.
And are you going to have that on the show? Like a therapist?
So. Yeah, definitely. I think, or I'll have to take him to therapy. I'm playing myself, but I'm playing a different version of myself, a less realized version of myself, who hasn't maybe forgiven her father for the things that I may have forgiven him for now. Yeah,
it's funny. I wrote a sitcom like that. I have it now. I have that with my dad. You know, there's just this. There's like these things that, you know, you just want to work them out, but
And you
maybe it
think,
might not be in this lifetime or
Yeah.
in a form that you think it is, or we're always in a process.
Yes.
There's never an end to any of these
And
things.
just when you're,
you know?
and even
There's
when
not
your
the
child,
big hug,
yes, and
at
even
the
when,
end, and that's it,
And, even when your child is grown up, you think, oh, well, I already, effed them up. I already did all my mistakes. It's like yes, they may have been your mistakes and they may be our problem. That's how I like to think of it. It's like they may have been their mistake, maybe my problem. But, you can still strengthen that relationship. Even if your child is, 35, when they get they're still your child. They're still your baby.
Yeah.
And, I want to show that it's never too late to try to make amends and try to make any relationship in your life stronger.
I totally agree. Yeah, my dad was like really not a good dad. I just went and visited him recently, with my kids.
And,
and my mom is
challenges.
completely healed with my mom to the point where, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to her and hang with her. It's a blast. I mean, that is amazing to get to that place. Well, let me ask you something personal. You can be my children and reflect back to me.
Yes.
I think I made a mistake on this.
Okay.
I had a really difficult time. This is with two of the children with my ex-wife. I have two children now that are like just aces, like so easy. They're just artists and fantastic, and just the other two I have a tough time with, and I have a hard time. Does either one of your parents ever do that you're acting like your father or you're acting like your mother?
Yes.
Like as a weapon. And I regret it, and yet I've done it.
Yeah, no, my dad's called me my Ann Jr. before if maybe I'm a little too authoritative, a little too direct. Or if I even call him out, like he'll just be like, okay, Ann, or hey this, or if I'm,
I'm laughing because I do it. I can
I'll
relate
get it with
to
both. And
we see the bad.
But it's like also you
that
have to
we
look
divorced. We see it in you, and it's unfortunate, but true.
But it's also biologically, yeah, I am half them. Like
Yeah,
I am half.
Yeah.
There are. It's like sorry. I feel like there's no real divorce.
But
when
you're
there's
hurt
children.
by that, though, right? I know my oldest son has expressed that he's hurt by it, and I feel terrible. But it's like to not say it though is also not truthful. You see what I'm saying? See how it's kind of like a stuck thing, like. You definitely feel this, and we're very honest people, obviously, and transparent. We express ourselves, and that's what we do for a living.
Yes.
So how do you hold that back? And yet you do need to hold, I've been told many times, never say something like that.
I mean, you just redirect it as their character. If you have notes on their character, it's not necessarily that maybe they get it from their mother, but it's still their actions. It's still their behavior. So you just go at it from a place of wanting to better them and care for them and just bring the parent out of it, because really you're talking to them. You're not talking to a part of your ex-spouse. You're not talking to your ex-wife.
You're talking to
your
them,
child.
yeah, but they've been programmed too, and I'm sure your father or mother have felt that.
Yeah,
it's like you're programmed by the other.
But you don't live by that programming.
Yeah.
You don't have to live by that programming.
Well, the kids don't have to, but if you see it and recognize it, it's like it's a little disturbing. You're going, like, there's part of me also wants to say, hey, you better recognize that in yourself, because you're not going to go anywhere with that behavior if that continues, no matter where you got it from.
Those are helpful notes. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's tough. It's tough though.
It's part of your environment, and your programming of how you were raised. It was there to protect you, and it did its job. And your programming may come up in certain situations where you feel triggered by something, or you acted like that because your parents acted like that. You saw what worked. I mean, parents, you see situations, that's how you think like situations are going to go out. And then as your worldscape gets bigger, you realize that may not be the right way.
There's what doesn't work and what does work.
But,
you kind of
don't
feel
blame them for, or you don't, for their programming. You understand, you can understand where it comes from.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah, that's a big thing. A lot of stand-ups or actors don't have the empathy gene because
they're dark. We're all dark and twisted.
Narcissistic and things like that, and that's unfortunate, But I really try to back up from that. I go, okay, recognize the narcissism,
and I think
try to really like resolve some of these things. That's why I'm asking these questions too, because I don't want to be some arrogant dad that says this is the way it's going to be. I really want to know them better, do better. There's another question I have for you is expressing our vulnerability. I have found that is not necessarily something that has led to, at least for the time being, has not led to something good, like expressing my even tears or sorrow over something. It's like kids don't want to hear that. I think. Now I'm asking you because you're one of them.
Vulnerability, you don't have to cry to be vulnerable. And
right.
you don't have to, I think vulnerability, it looks a certain way in television, in media, of how you're supposed to be vulnerable. You're supposed to pour your heart out and you're supposed to say everything. And, that shows vulnerability. I think vulnerability can be in big ways and it can also be in small ways. I think you don't necessarily have to cry, but when you can tell when someone's being vulnerable because they're being authentic. They're being 100% authentic within themselves.
Right. Well, let's say I was, okay? Let's say I have been. And I've expressed, like, I'm not kidding you. My ex-wife really did torture us. Like, really bad. Like, false allegations and just revenge on me, and I had to go to courts and everything else, defend myself.
Right.
I really got exhausted from defending myself. And that got to the point where I broke down a few times.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, really, like, I can't take this anymore. But what I found is, now tell me if this is correct, I think these kids, they wanted someone strong, not someone which I was. Boy, I went through a lot. I stayed there. I kept the 50-50 custody. I stayed Little League coach, and I'm so supportive, homework, and everything I could do to be a great dad. Not a good dad, a great dad. But there is a point where I got to, like, I can't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. And I think it really, like, affected them to see this guy break down like that. Do you think that's true? Like, if your dad broke down, or maybe he has, like, and like really like, sorry, I'm not that strong guy.
I think it just showed that you're also a dad, but you're also a human.
Yeah, that's the part I'm asking you.
You're a human.
But so is that the mature you version?
Yes.
That's the mature you that has been through the process. But the old you would have said, go away. Right?
I think it's
like, I want nothing to do with this guy.
You haven't seen that part of your parent, and so it can, kind of disrupt the piece of things that you have or in your mind. Mm-hmm. But really, it just breaks down that, yes, the father is a role, but you are still a human. We all are.
But human. You can't do that when you're 17. And is that the year, like, you didn't talk to him and there's like 17?
Yeah, I was about 17.
Yeah. So you can't think like that. No, you can't think like, oh, he's human. You're just going, I'm his daughter. He should be a certain way.
The hurt and the pain was driving me.
Right.
At those points.
Yes.
I couldn't understand. I found out a whole different, darker side of my father, but I understood where it came from, that, he has trouble with relationships in general because, his mother left him when he was 10 years old, and his father left him when he was 3 months old, and he was raised by my grandparents, by his grandparents, my great-grandparents. Mm-hmm. And, they didn't really consider him a person, really. They kind of didn't care what he liked,
right.
For food. It was
when you're a kid, though, you can't process that because you're not thinking, you're not like 17 years ago going, oh, but he had this happen to him and that happened to him, so that's the reason he's doing that. You're just thinking, hey, I just want a good dad. I just want to, why can't he do this?
You did provide. And I think it's the little thing, it's the effort.
But they can't think like that. My two sons, I'm having a little difficulty with them lately. And, like kind of like gravitating towards the mom energy that I just resisted for all those years, and I stood firm. And yet, it's almost like that's the easy way. The mom's always the easy way, right?
Yeah, you always go back, the nurture. She's the natural nurturer.
Right. Right. And also going to give you what you want. Isn't there that element as well?
Depending.
Yeah. I mean,
in your situation, yes.
Much more so than, I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to ask them to work. I'm going to ask them to, and then they're going, no, I don't want to work.
Right.
I want something easy. I want to get my own way. Because there's that instinct as well when you're a kid.
I think it's having, maybe, just from hearing what you said, maybe just a balance of both. I mean, you can be, the father that, is looking out for them and their well-being and where, their futures, and you should work, or what are you doing, or what are your next steps? Like, don't sit down for too long, like, keep moving, all those things. But also if they need someone that's a little lighter, and you see the need. Like, I know all comedians, but you're a perceptive man. Like, you can feel your energy. Your children,
right?
And just like overextend.
Sure.
It may feel like overextending to you, but maybe something that, you know, in the moment that
Do
they
you
need.
do you teach your dad how to be younger? Like, do you teach him any technology or TikTok or?
You know, I got him on TikTok, and then now
I'm a mess.
he has like 2.3 million. And
Oh,
I was like,
God.
the empire, I laid down the bricks of the empire. No, so yeah, I've helped him a little bit. He's actually pretty like well versed in it. He gets it.
Oh, good for him.
And
Maybe I'll have him teach me. I'm terrible.
yeah, you know,
Because we're storytellers. That's a very difficult thing to adapt to.
But it's so interesting now. It's like with social media. It's like, you know, even this podcast. We're having it audio, but you know we have video as well. That there's a natural transition to more video based media, either through TikTok or even Instagram is introducing reels that are, you know, and those bring people to your page, and so it's really getting away from photos and more video, which is I feel like is a good opportunity for stand up comedy.
Yeah, but I was told like I had something a minute and 30 seconds. They said, nah, it's not going to work.
No, it's 3 minutes. It can be up to 3
No, I'm
minutes.
talking about TikTok. They said minute 30 out.
Oh, now TikTok's up to 3 minutes. You can make 3 minutes.
No, but I'm saying they said that you've lost my attention. I
Oh.
said, what are you talking about?
I mean,
Like the great Dickens, it was the best of times. That's it. You know, hashtag.
You know, you get some people who, but there's also a scrolling if people want to scroll and,
It's very hard. That is the biggest. I cannot really adapt to that because of it's really ingrained to storytell, and I love storytelling. I do it really well. So to take that and it's like being a marathoner and something. Then you're a sprinter now. Mm-hmm. You can be a really great marathoner, but you just can be an okay sprinter because you haven't worked at it your whole life. So it's very difficult. But I can't get my kids to help me. Maybe you'll help me.
I can help you.
Maybe George Lopez's daughter will help me.
Yes.
And Ann Lopez's daughter will come up and help. So what's Ann? I was so great to see your mom. I hadn't seen her in years at the comedy shows. What's she doing these days?
You know, Ann, she's semi-retired. She works on some projects that they come up and they really interest her. She did, there was a Chicano artist. His name was Carlos Amaraz.
Yeah.
She executive produced a documentary for him that went on Netflix.
Wow.
And it's beautiful. He really was one of the forefathers of Latin art. And, you know, it's very beautiful. He has like all these videos of him, and it's very sad. He died from AIDS really before he hit.
Your mom did a documentary. She produced it.
Yeah, she executive produced it, and it went through a lot of festivals. And
awesome.
It did great. And so, you know, she works from time to time, but really she's enjoying, you know, she's worked incredibly hard.
Her whole life. Yeah. I want to do that retirement.
Mm-hmm. You know,
it's the money for me. I got to make money.
She's invested it all very well.
Oh, good for her. So she taught you that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like all mature and shit, aren't you? This is not good. You need to be more rebellious. And
I've had a lot of therapy, Craig. I've had a lot of.
You got to be more of an idiot.
You know,
but I'm sure you'll lean more into being a moron on the sitcom because it's funnier.
Absolutely,
it's not funny if you have it together.
No.
You can't have this.
And I need fun. I need more fun in my life.
What is making you laugh? What do you watch that makes you laugh? What do you listen to that makes you laugh?
I listen. I watch a lot of TikTok.
TikTok,
yeah. But you know, I listen. There's a lot of like YouTube channels that I listen to, or you know, I love Whitney Cummings.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough.
She used
to know
open
her.
for me.
Really? Yeah.
She toured and sold my stuff.
You know,
isn't that crazy?
I find her
she's huge now.
She's one of the biggest inspirations.
And Annie used to open for me as well. Annie Letterman.
Oh yes.
Who's on her show a lot, right?
Yeah, she is. She's making like appearances and.
I'm gonna have them both on my show. Maybe they'll come on my show.
Exactly.
They remember me. Your dad's also had people that he's developed and stuff, you know, through the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the opening acts and things like that.
Oh yeah, opening acts.
That's something I really get into is like helping others, you know. And then you're going to be the same way.
Yes.
And you remember, am I your first podcast?
You are technically, yeah.
Oh my God! Ahead of your dad has a podcast.
I know. My dad has the Oh My God Hi.
Yeah, and
podcast,
and he can't have you on there.
And I've tried, and I was like, Dad,
I've tried.
I was like, you know, Dad, we're gonna be like in a show together. We should really start be seen together.
Yeah, you need some chemistry together.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, maybe after this, maybe this was the,
But,
maybe
you know,
he'll watch
I
this.
have my own. I've been, you know, have my own things that I've always done, and I'm really excited for this opportunity, and also getting people to know who I am and getting to like me. And this is,
I told you my
another,
idea that you should do a podcast with the kids of comedians.
You know, I want to write a book.
That
I
would
do want to write a book about interviewing children of stand-ups and, you know, how it's affected them.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you know,
Some become comics. I think
yeah,
Dana
some of them
Carvey's
become-
kids, right?
Yes. You know, some of them
Obviously,
do,
Wayans,
but,
there's 19,000 of them. But
you know, what's so funny is that people always ask me, you know, what stand-up do you watch? And I was like, I don't really watch stand-up. Like, I've, you know, seen a lot of stand-up, like just from my dad, but, you know, I'm so critical because I know what good stand-up
wow.
like looks like. And so I'm like the worst person sometimes to watch a show with.
You're coming to my show.
Yes, I have watched. I watched your set and I laughed the whole time. So
I'm
that was like,
I'm
okay.
different than the
I
other
met my
ones.
match. I met a match.
I'm gonna November 19th. I'm gonna get you tickets to the Canyon Club.
Oh, wonderful.
You and your mom come out
Yes.
because I am a storyteller, not like the stand-ups now, and I don't talk about. I don't do any politics. Everything's a personal experience.
All of it is politics and dick jokes, and I can't
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, dick jokes I do.
Dick jokes, yeah. A
No,
good one, though.
My dick jokes are making fun of dick jokes.
There we go.
So it's like one on top of the other. That's how it works. The Love Master, you'll see him. I'll introduce you. It's gonna be a little creepy if I do it now in this small room with my friend's daughter.
We're 6 feet apart. COVID rules, you know.
That's just a tip, baby, for
Hello.
the Love Master.
Hello. I want you to do that in the audience. Hello.
Yeah, that'll be.
That's always what you want. So anyway, what a pleasure. I hope you guys had a good time. This is a
Yes.
really different show today. Having Mayan. By the way, I love your name.
Thank you.
It's named after the Mayans, obviously.
Yes, the Mayan Indians, and then it's also Mayan. It means eternal spring in Hebrew. It's Israeli.
Look at you.
So,
Okay, all different.
Layers, darling, layers.
Mine means rock. Craig is a rock. I don't know what that means. I feel like a rock sometimes. But anyway, hey, I hope you all had a great time on our podcast
thank
today.
you so much.
It's Enlightened Up, and make sure you all pass the word. And also pass the word. Lopez versus Lopez coming up on NBC. You're the first to hear about this.
Yes, this
You,
is really
the whole
good.
inside poop on it, and you'll spread the word about that. It's going to be a great show. Anything that George does is wonderful, and obviously you're just an awesome little spirit that you have.
Thank you very
It was so
much.
great to meet you a few weeks ago. You just have this light about you, and that's why you're on Enlightened Up. That's our show, folks. Pass the word around. Give us a good rating, the full rating. If you're thinking about giving us a bad rating, just give it to George Lopez.
Just click all 5.
Do it to George Lopez, not me. He could care less if you give him a bad rating. Okay, I need your good ratings. I need you to pass the word around. And so, yeah, official Craig Shoemaker. That's my Instagram, and yours is.
I am Mayan Lopez on all platforms.
Wow, look at that. You got your own name?
Yes,
Damn
I
it.
do.
Now
See?
I'm pissed. Now
See,
I'm
no keychains, but I can get my handle. So.
You're so entitled. Anyway, I hope you all had a good time today. It is Craig Shoemaker. And just remember, folks, enlighten the fuck up, will you?